I'm going to give you an update on the downtown master plan. And as part of this update on the Russellville master plan, I've got to reflect on why we have such a plan and how we have managed to get to this point in its implementation. Main Street Organization is an organization that the city supports as a downtown revitalization group with an advisory board. We entrust that organization and its subcommittees to carry out the things under their umbrella of responsibility. They, as with the city's Planning Commission, Civil Service Commission, Recreation Parks Commission, Airport Commission, and others, are appointed to those organizations because of background, expertise, vocation, interest, and a desire to serve. The City Council has the responsibility to take action upon their recommendations, and it should be obvious that the City Council, regardless of its interest and its desire to direct and impact those recommendations, does not have the physical capacity to be involved in all aspects of each of those areas of responsibility for the city, and therefore assumes some level of trust regarding the intentions and efforts of those who serve on those commissions and boards, so as not to render them ineffective. This is a follow-up update regarding this plan after Ms. Betsy McGuire's update in December of 2013 to the council, and then Mr. John Harris spoke in February of this year as a late agenda item relative to the crosswalks and bulb-out project on Main Street. Likewise, in February, Mr. Dan Burden, co-founder of Walkable and Livable Communities Institute, spoke here and gave an update regarding a walking evaluation he made of our historic district. Looking back in regard to this, in August 20th of 2009, the City Council adopted Resolution 1114 that authorized Main Street, Russellville, to develop a downtown master plan and present it to the City Council for acceptance. With the economy in the slump that occurred and then Main Street funds becoming low, Main Street Russellville delayed their request for proposal until 2011. Work commenced shortly thereafter to get a plan produced, and the Walker Collaborative, along with a team of consultants, entered a contract agreement, made a comprehensive study over several months, and presented it to the council, which accepted it by Resolution 1327 on December 20th, 2012. Much earlier than that, however, the interest of Main Street Russellville and other citizens began to take shape, and it became obvious that if they truly had a concern for the historic interests of downtown and preservation of buildings at the city's center, a historic district commission should be established. It was established by Ordinance 2011 in February of 2008, and Ordinance 2023 in June of 2008 established a local historic district and further elaborated on the responsibilities and authority of the commission. Later, in February of 2009, Ordinance 2048 changed the number of members of the commission from 9 to 7. Next slide, please. Now, the purpose of this master plan is to create a comprehensive strategy to revitalize the city's historic downtown and the El Paso Avenue corridor linking downtown and Arkansas Tech. The plan included those two main items, along with recommendations for the following: Depot Plaza improvements, proposed Ozark Interpretive Center, proposed Prairie Creek Park East, a potential parking garages, Courthouse Pocket Plaza. There were other strategies mentioned also, and they include rehabilitating historic buildings, infill development on vacant lots and buildings, improve zoning and things associated with zoning, and develop a downtown library, and develop and adopt financial incentives for the downtown area. Main Street Russellville is the most critical entity for downtown revitalization and implementation, and they follow a four-point approach, which includes, and if you will go to the next slide, please. Those 4 points include organization, design, economic restructuring, and promotion. The Public Works Department was given responsibility to implement the master street portion of the plan over time, and the implementation matrix for this master plan was included to facilitate that for all involved parties. Next slide, please. Points in this plan to consider regarding downtown revitalization were noted as follows. One, the availability of downtown parking. And it stated in this plan that it is not critical presently, but it will be so once a lot of revitalization begins. Secondly, public space is extremely important but lacking downtown. Thirdly, Prairie Creek adaptation through the downtown area was recommended, and the city is currently partnered with the Corps of Engineers in a 205 plan drainage project, which may coincide with the master plan. Fourth, an interpretive center was identified and associated with the U.S. Forest Service and proposed as a large passive and recreational area to the east of the Pope County Courthouse. This proposal is likely to change to some other facility within the same basic scope as a public facility or space, such as a Veterans Memorial Park. From an economic and marketable standpoint, the vacant first floor space downtown is significant in that it sometimes gives the perception of lack of activity. And six, truck traffic downtown was also identified as a negative factor identified by businesses that were surveyed during the development of this plan. Relative to truck traffic downtown that was mentioned, the East Side North to South Arterial project in the city's capital improvement plan is a plan that has been identified to improve this negative for downtown, which includes making Weir Road and its extension a north-south truck route and another overpass over the railroad. Coordinating discussions have been made with District 8 of the Arkansas Highway and Transportation Department, and they are favorable to this plan, and it possibly could result in a partnership for its construction. Parking, mentioned as not critical during the plan development, has become obviously critical with the new restaurant and other developments downtown, plus existing business growth that has occurred. Although some might say this is a problem, it is a good problem to have and also indicates that the plan is working. Additional parking, as identified, should be added within a 5-minute walk of the Main Street Commerce intersection if it is to be truly useful. Next slide, please. Mobility and streets are parts of this overall plan. And the intention of that is to make our streets more pedestrian safe and friendly, increase street parking and make parking safer, increase the visual quality of our streets as well. As I mentioned, El Paso Avenue is a critical link between Arkansas Tech and downtown, primarily because of the marketing support the university can lend downtown, and should include alternate modes of transportation such as walking, jogging, cycling, and it is currently nearing completion at this time. Despite Arkansas Tech's growth, particularly in the last 10 years, downtown has seen only limited benefits from the university market. Students are an important retail market segment, but also a housing marketing segment. Improving access to downtown aids the growth that will come here. Public realm improvements such as streetscape redevelopments, which was done with the bulb out project and crossing, generally precede private development. They tend to stimulate improvements such as building enhancements and rehabilitation. Professional guidance is focused initially on physical improvements prior to getting the marketing stage going. Right now, parking and Depot Park improvements are the two most needed capital improvement projects for historic downtown and Main Street, Russellville. And this current slide depicts what was in the plan regarding the Depot Park area. There are some items in the implementation matrix incumbent on the city that need resolution by the council to move them forward. Under building and facilities on that matrix A3, and I will cover the complete matrix in a moment. Under A3, it says develop an aquatic center. One place it identified in the plan was to consider the vicinity of North El Paso and West Parkway. A6 in that matrix was to build a downtown parking garage. Shared responsibility of city and county was noted. Both city and county passed a resolution, the city's being number 1407 on May the 15th of this year, agreeing to move forward with planning of the facility after the Polk County Law Library wholeheartedly agreed to fund the project planning study with an expectation of reimbursement if the plan goes forward. The sidewalks on Arkansas Avenue and streetscapes and City Mall sidewalk are projects that are identified in our capital improvement plan and are needed to complement the downtown enhancements and should be funded soon. Delaying these are only having a negative impact on this master plan and the city's capital improvement plan. This plan is This plan is and must be flexible, and it is vitally relevant to how to build financially valuable streets and revitalize a core downtown area. To quote the Conway Area Chamber of Commerce president and CEO at a very recent downtown revitalization meeting in Hot Springs, he said, quote, "If you wait for everybody to agree on your proposals, it will never happen." And I say this from a personal standpoint, this next statement. The owners of decaying properties downtown must either develop them or put them on the market at a reasonable price so others out here with the will and capital can bring them to life. There has to be the community and political will to make that work. However, there is a tendency for some of us to be a little less moved by the factual features of our plans and projections and more concerned about the emotional benefits of it. And that concludes my report, except for coverage of the implementation matrix. If you'll put matrix up there, A1, rehabilitate various historic buildings, which was responsible party was property owners, year one. Following properties have been purchased and are rehabbed. 108 North Commerce, 311, 313, 315 West B Street, 116 North Commerce, 118 North Commerce, and 104 to 106 North Commerce, and 310 West Main. The second one was develop a new downtown library, the county's responsibility. Library staff and board have been working on this, and they're waiting on 501c3 status presently and working on the following plans for public survey, public services, building facilities, technology, advocacy, marketing, and fundraising. Develop housing in the El Paso Avenue corridor. Those are developers and Arkansas Tech University. That will come after the El Paso corridor construction is complete. Develop an aquatic center. Consider sites on northwest corner of Parkway and El Paso, as I mentioned earlier. That is a city responsibility, and that is ongoing. We have a committee that has been meeting and making recommendations in regard to that. Develop infill buildings on vacant lots. That is something that needs to occur, and I made my statement in regard to what needs to be done with the properties downtown, and that goes along with the areas that need infill. Build a downtown parking garage. That was identified to go behind the courthouse on the southeast corner of 2nd and Boulder. That's a city-county joint responsibility, and as I mentioned, Resolution 1407 was passed by the city dealing with that to go forward. Develop the Ozark Interpretation Center. That is incumbent upon the U.S. Forest Service. Likely that responsibility may change, and it could become a local Veterans Coalition site for recommendation for a Veterans Memorial. Implementation Matrix B, please. Enhancement of Main Street. That's a city responsibility. The streetscape on Main Street and the Boabout project has been completed. There are plannings for additional improvements on Main Street in the future. B2 is in El Paso enhancement, and as I mentioned earlier, that's a city responsibility, and it's close to completion. Develop park as part of a new downtown library, and there are alternative sites that were identified in the plan, and that's a county responsibility, and that is currently being studied and recommendations proposed at this time. The parking lots, that is a lot responsibility for the various organizations and businesses that have them downtown. That needs some consideration going forward. And then develop a courthouse pocket plaza, much like the Burris Memorial Plaza downtown, and expand that. That is under the county's purview. B6 is developing a Prairie Creek Greenway, trails and interpretive waysides and so forth. Right now, we have a Corps of Engineers project that we have entered into. It's a 205 drainage project, and we've asked them to consider the trails and the greenway in this, and hope and anticipate that that will coincide with this master plan. Depot Plaza, Trailhead, and other things, relocation of the caboose and whatnot. And that's a city and Main Street responsibility. Conceptual plans have been developed for the Depot Park, and it does consider the possibility of relocating the caboose as recommended in the plan. Athletic playing fields, that was in the same vicinity as mentioned where the aquatic center might possibly go. There's nothing been done in regard to that at this time. And then the Prairie Creek Park East, an amphitheater, which is also part of what was considered for the interpretive center with the Forest Service Department. And then create gateway treatments around the city as to identify it in the downtown area. Gateways still are in Main Street's 2014 work plan, and they have had recent discussions in regard to that. If you'll go to number C. Pursuing business retention and recruitment. Main Street, Russellville responsibility. New downtown businesses that have been brought forward are Kitchen Crazy, Sudi's, Gallery 307, Fat Daddy's, Penny University Coffee, The Crossing, Lavish, Funky Junkie, Limley House Art Guild, B.N. Bauman Photography, and there are others to come. Adopt marketing themes and branding, possible railroad heritage, College Town, Ozark Crossroads. Main Street Russellville has been involved with that, and they have obtained a new logo for the downtown area, debuted last fall, and banners have also been installed in the historic district relative to that. Adopting and implementing a program for building revitalization, loan guarantees, and so on that way, a city responsibility in concert with Main Street Russellville. There are funds from an Arkansas Heritage Resource Grant that enable Main Street Russellville to create a matching fund mini-grant program and building rehabilitation grant program. These have resulted in several completed rehab projects and more are on the way. Adopting and implementing this plan's marketing and promotion strategy. Main Street Russellville responsibility again. Monthly merchant mingle programs have resulted in coordinating holiday planning and special events downtown. Examples of those things are this year's Winter Wonderland holiday light display is moving from Pleasant View Park to the downtown area. And the Music Downtown Summer Concert has already been started and is in its second year this year. And then pursue a family entertainment concept, entertainment center and venues and dining downtown, Main Street, Russellville. I think the recent success in opening new stores and restaurants has begun to open the eyes of developers as we're seeing that there are many possible uses for the downtown properties. Number D, or item D. Adjust the zoning for downtown and the El Paso corridor. Amend and supplement or rewrite. A city responsibility. A review of zones C1, C2, and C4 uses permitted in downtown is underway by City Planner Harris, and presentations to Historic District Commission, Planning Commission, and Council are scheduled and will occur between August and September of this year. D2, improve downtown historic district zoning and expand district, adopting guidelines and improving the processes. The same comments are referred as was mentioned before on D1 for zoning. Plus, review considering amending zoning maps that will start in September through October of this year. And then utilizing the city's existing building codes to make them as flexible for usage as possible. It is in use and as appropriate in regarding building rehabilitation and revitalization downtown. Same thing regarding existing local funding programs and promoting all programs. The city and Main Street share responsibility for that. It is in use and as appropriate in regard to building rehab and revitalization. And then establishing a plan implementation committee with staffing that must meet regularly. That does occur with Main Street, Russellville, and with city involvement. Downtown Master Plan Steering Committee, which was a subcommittee of Main Street Russellville, became the implementation committee with a number of new volunteers that have been included on that who have joined the board of Main Street Russellville. And then promoting this plan and using Main Street website, plan summary documents, and presentations. A Main Street responsibility, and they are utilizing new outlets as well as civic speakers for civic clubs in Russellville at this time. And then we were to formally adopt this plan, and the City Council should pass a resolution, which it did on December the 20th of 2012, which was resolution number 1327. Upgrading water lines downtown and issuance of water pressure with issues of water pressure deficiencies for firefighting. City Corp is working on this at this time. They're working on sewer line considerations in conjunction with ongoing rehabilitation and as business development is presented to them in the historic district. And then updating this plan in the future, at least every 5 years, Main Street, Russellville, and city responsibility. Updates and revisions are already occurring with community interests that are changing and in property uses, such as the possible Veterans Memorial downtown. And that concludes my report on the master plan.